Station, this is Houston on Space Ground 2. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I'm ready.
Canadian Space Agency, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Robert Thirsk at Ecole Champs Vallee in Beaumont, Alberta. How do you hear us?
Hey, Bob, I have you loud and clear. How me?
Very well, David. We have a large gymnasium here filled with many hundreds of students and adults. Several of the students have questions for you if you're ready.
I am ready.
Oh, okay. I am ready. And actually, David, I think the first question is actually going to be an answer to a question that you earlier asked.
Class, we are growing tomato street plants and other vegetables in Mars and Moon simulant soil to learn about plant needs and producing food in space. Our classroom looks like a Martian greenhouse. We decided to compare the carbon dioxide, humidity, and temperature of our classroom with other classrooms that don't have plants. It was interesting to see how much that removes the carbon dioxide, but also increases the humidity, and we would love to see more plants in our school and in our community. This project is an exciting way for us to see the data for ourselves and realize that we can make a difference in taking care of the Earth, while it also helps astronauts survive in space.
Very, very cool. Yes, I agree. We need more plants everywhere. We had a few plants of salad growing here on station recently, and it was a great joy to look after them.
And David, that was Alicia. Would you mind asking the next question, please?
Certainly. As you know, astronauts have to be ready to respond to a great variety of challenges and always be ready to adapt and adapt again to new situations. I was wondering, through this process of coming up with ideas to monitor and master your environment, have you had faced challenges, and what have you learned in the process?
Learning how to code was very challenging in the beginning. We had to practice with simpler challenges, like making a blinking heartbeat and step counter before we could attempt coding the sensor array. We had to work as a team and ask our teacher for help, and she even had to ask some of her friends and people from Let's Talk Science to help us debug and troubleshoot together. We got to learn about entering data and making graphs, which was really interesting, but also very challenging. And like coding, I think it is something that I will use in the future.
Yes, all these lessons you can use throughout your life.
That was Manette. Would you ask the next question, David? No. And David, my mistake, the next question is for you.
Can I go? On participe à ce projet.
We participate to this project, and we are learning a lot of things in physics and coding, and we would like to know how you work on the ISS is helping in that domain. Yes, so the ISS is a big research lab, and all the research we do here has two goals. First, a direct goal to help astronauts to explore further, but also life on Earth, because everything we do for the astronauts in orbit, it can help with medical research, environment, energy research on Earth, and that can help on Earth.
We all watched your spacewalk live at school last week, and I wanted to know what you thought of the experience.
It's very difficult to describe. You know, the view is not new to me because I see it the same view as from the window. Being in a spacesuit was not new because I had the training in Houston in the pool. Being in vacuum was not new because I had been in the airlock. Doing a procedure is not new because I've trained for years. But doing all of that together, that was new. And it's that experience of being outside the station with nothing between me and the rest of the universe. I felt like a very little satellite looking at our beautiful planet. And it just filled me with awe and also humility, because you realize that it's normally impossible to survive there. We only survive there because of the human ingenuity and the thousands of people who work hard to make it possible. So to me, it was a great example of teamwork and collaboration and creativity, and how the human mind really knows no limits.
In my science class, we were learning about plant needs and the effects of microgravity and radiation on plant germination with Tomato Sphere project. Are there currently tomato sphere seeds on the ISS? And if you were to plant anything you wanted in space, what would that be?
So actually, we have seeds coming up on the SpaceX 17 in about 2 weeks. And so that'll be exciting to get this Canadian project back on board. It's been going on for many years. So I'm looking forward to using that. I'm impressed that this project is still going. I think Bob Thirsk, was one of the first crew members to actually be involved in this project.
In science class, we learn how to build Martian model habitats. How does the ISS protect astronauts against radiations while remaining warm? So the ISS it's like two aluminum tubes, two modules. There is two aluminum cylinders, and that's what's protecting us from the void. And when it comes to temperature, there is like a shell for the ISS that is heated to keep normal temperature, and outside there are areas that are protected by protective material. And for radiation, what we have is the equipment around us that protect us. And in the bedrooms, there is another layer of absorbing material to absorb radiation. And the ISS is still inside the magnetic field of the Earth. And this is what is protecting us from the major flow of radiation from space. So, of course, when we go farther, we're going to have to increase the protection of spacecraft, because we'll be totally exposed to radiation because we won't have the magnetic field of the Earth.
How does the radiation astronauts are exposed to while in space affect their overall health over the course of their mission?
Yeah, it's very important. We constantly monitor the radiation we receive. I always carry a little radiation monitor on me because basically being exposed to radiation increases your risk of developing a cancer one day when you get older. And so that's the same risk that people who work in, for example, some power plants or down in the mines, some other workers are exposed, or people who work in nuclear submarines. So we use the same norms, make sure astronauts do not get more exposed to radiation than any other person on Earth. But still, it does increase our risk. So we get very close monitoring of our health as a consequence of that.
Would a paper airplane fly in the same way in space as it does here on Earth?
How about we try? Let's try to make a paper plane. I think it should, but it doesn't need to have big wings because there's no gravity to pull it down. I think that was a successful test flight. Oh, Nick is going to throw it back at me. Got it.
We know that astronauts exercise to stay physically healthy in space, but how do you maintain a positive mental health?
So this is an extremely important question. It's maybe even more important, of course, to remain happy and mentally healthy, to be able to perform at a high level. So the way we do that, first, we are very close to each other. The other astronauts with me on board, they've become like my brothers and sisters. We have no secrets for each other. We always confide in each other. And then you have to keep a good relationship with your family on the ground, maintain the bridge open, maintain a good link with your life on Earth, and also keep some time for yourself. You have to stay in balance in order to be healthy in your head. You have to be physically healthy, you have to have success in your job, you have to have some hobbies, you have to have some friends. All these things in your life have to be in balance, and it's even more important when you're on an expedition to maintain that balance.
Is sleeping in space hard for you? Do you feel more or less rested compared to sleeping on Earth?
So that has changed. In the beginning, I had a little bit of difficulty sleeping because my body was not used to the sensation of not having any weight. You know, when you sleep, you're basically, I'm inside a sleeping bag, inside my little telephone box, that's like my crew quarters, and you're just like this, floating like that. And initially, it took me a few weeks for my body to get used to that. Then I had some back pain because my back gets longer. As when you're in 0G, you get taller, and that can cause back pain. But after a while, I got used to it, and now I sleep very, very comfortably. Every muscle in my body completely relaxed.
I would imagine that it can get lonely in space. When you're on the ISS looking out at space, does it feel worse or better?
You know, actually, it doesn't feel lonely at all because it's a very intense human experience here with the other crew members, with all my friends here. And so you're never really alone. And then you're constantly communicating with the Earth. And looking outside the window is it's really more a source of joy because I see our beautiful planet with everybody that I know and love is living there. And so you don't feel like you're far away. It's surprising, eh? But I really don't feel lonely up here, never. I do miss my family. I would like to hug my children.
Votre plan pour l'arrivée?
What's your plan for the future? Will you go back to the ISS or will you go to the Moon or Mars?
Ah là là, oui, ça me fait rêver.
Yes, this question makes me dream. I don't know. Right now I'm concentrating on my current mission. It's a lot of work to be an astronaut here on board the ISS. Afterwards, go on the Moon or Mars. I think it's going to take a few years before we're capable to reach these places, especially for Mars. I think I'm too old, and it will be younger astronauts that will go there. I think the future astronauts are already born. They're still children. But if you want to dream about it, I think it's a great dream.
Merci, David.
Thank you, David. We have other students and more questions, but that's all the time we have today.
Point on the Living Space Project and what life in space is all about. I also have to say that the students here really enjoyed your aerobatics that you performed for us at the beginning of the downlink. It was absolutely superb and gave us a really good impression that you're having too good of a time up there. So continued success. We really hold you in high regard, high esteem. So long from Beaumont, Alberta.
Merci, Bob. Merci tout le monde. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
Thank you, Canadian Space Agency and participants. Station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.